How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Unsigned Pop Punk Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Tarnowski, and this is the podcast about life in the music industry. So, with that being said, I'm really stoked to let you all know that today we welcome Craig Yarnold from iconic ska band Buck-O-Nine to the show. Craig, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Like I said, before we, actually we're recording, like stoked to have you. This is like when I saw that you were releasing new stuff, I was like, holy shit, let's go. All right.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since we've released anything, so we're pretty excited ourselves.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about that. So you released your latest album, Cut Out the Noise, back on May 16th, which is like your first studio album since 2019. So how's
Right.
the, how's the response been for that?
Um, I think overall it's been positive. I mean, I don't know that we'd hear negative, but if there is any negative, except for I saw one negative comment somewhere on the single re-released, but the first single. But no, I think it's been pretty well received so far, and you, we feel good about it, but that's you can never tell, how other
Mm,
people are gonna receive it, even though you might be proud of it or happy with it. So um,
right.
yeah, so far so good, I think.
I mean, everything I've seen has been positive about it. And also you can't please everybody. It, you could
True.
you goal is to please at least 50%. I
Yeah.
feel I feel like nowadays anyway.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, the people that are fans are hopefully gonna like it.
Yeah.
And if that's all that really counts.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, I would say your fans, your albums, have been pretty consistent throughout, uh, the since the 90s. They're very like they sound like Buck-O-Nine all the way
yeah,
through.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, we try to push things a little bit, challenge ourselves on
Yeah,
each record, but keep it within the I don't know the ballpark of what we're known for and what we like to do.
totally. And like I said, I mean, it's one of those even when it's different, it still sounds like Buck-O-Nine. It's still got your guys' sound.
Cool. Yeah, and that's probably a part of that, or a big part of that is probably because we have, pretty consistent core. Well, we have a very consistent core from the last 30 years or so, as
Right?
far as the members and the songwriting contributions. So I think that helps a lot. And I mean, over the years, like, various members have their other musical side projects, if you will.
Hmm.
So if they want to go get weird, with someone else, they can, and then we kind of keep Buck Nine for what it is for fun.
And that's the way what coming from like a fan perspective, I that is almost always what everybody says, like when it comes to like it's like if you're
Yeah.
gonna get weird, can't you just do a side project or something, like when other band like Metallica or like Green Day or something, when they've switched things up like dramatically, they're like, come on, like you couldn't have, but also like a lot of bands don't like to do that and they just want to stay within their one band and do it.
Yeah, and that's a challenge too, because you don't want to be stale and repetitive. Um, but you want, it's like finding new ways to do the same thing,
Hmm.
in a way. Like that's one of the things I've liked about Social Distortion over the years is they always find ways, to stay within what you expect from Social Distortion, but they have cool songs that come out of it and catchy songs. And I'm looking forward to hearing whenever they might release a new album.
Yeah.
So,
You can never go wrong with some good old Social D as well.
yeah, yeah.
The only reason I even brought up Green Day in the first place was this. I've been working on a video for one of our YouTube series, and I had to go through the entire discography, which I'll tell you was a chore.
Wow. That's a lot of
Because
material.
it's a lot of material and it's not all like material I want to listen to.
No, no.
Not all of it.
Yeah.
I do really like Green Day. But they
Yeah, me
they
too.
they had some stinkers though. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's hard to right hit the mark with every release. You know, there are a few bands out there that I've liked since I was in high school, but you know, they don't always hit for me, but I
yeah,
still respect them. And I think it's always hard to live up to you know, your groundbreaking album too, right? Like you're never
right.
gonna live up. Well, although Green Day did it for quite a while there. I mean, after Dookie, like Nimrod and couple of the
Insomniac.
other, yeah, Insomniac, those were all, I was amazed when those came out. Wow, there's
Hmm.
just hit after hit, basically, you know.
Right. I like in my like little teaser before you guys even see it probably, but my top album of theirs was Insomniac. I think that album is like their Empire Strikes Back. You know, it was a
Yeah.
darker album. I liked it more.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I kind of felt like I think when Warning came out, I
Dude.
was like, okay, seemed a little uninspired, except for they had a couple songs on there that like Warning is good and the minority that minority song is
Yeah.
really good. And then but then they you know they bounced back with American Idiot, you know,
Oh.
like that was just phenomenal.
I think you should take a look back at Warning. That is one of my favorite albums of theirs.
Yeah.
It had to grow on me because it was so
Yeah.
different, but it was like, holy buckets, this is actually really good.
Yeah, I should do that because I know that when it came out, I was in a weird state of music at that time because we had just stopped doing the touring thing ourselves, and for a while there it was hard for me to listen to a lot of stuff because I was just
Yeah,
like, dang it, I used to be doing this too.
right. Oh, totally. Well, speaking of that though, you guys came up during like the golden era of third wave ska. Like, what was it like being part of that scene while it was exploding?
It was really weird because it was a you know a quick rise and a quick fall, you know. I mean, the early 90s were really fun because there was a whole organic thing, and you know, especially in Southern California and this region, you know, and then when we started touring, it was tough for the first couple of years. um, and then all of a sudden things just clicked, you know. But then, you know, it went from like, you know, playing some decent shows and having some fun to playing these big shows all across the country and feeling like, oh wow, we're on the radio here in Buffalo, let's say, you know, and we're playing in front of all these people. And then, you know, 6 months later, we come back to Buffalo and there's no one there because everyone moved on to the next, you know, the even shorter lived swing revival, let's say. And
Oh
then
my
it was, you
gosh.
know, and then emo and whatnot, you know. So
Yeah,
it was, but I mean, I think we did what our best to appreciate what was going on at the time, and you know, you can't um, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, you can't wish that it didn't happen because the alternative is that you just, you know, you never would have got those opportunities, you know. So um,
totally.
but you
Yeah.
know, in retrospect, you can see a lot of the silliness that was going on around the whole movement at the time. I didn't even, I mean, all these memes you see about like on MTV with Carson Daly and those and those types of things when they had a ska Saturday. I didn't even know that was happening at the time because we were on the road and we weren't
Hmm.
sitting there watching it. I didn't know some of the stuff that was happening um besides radio play, you know, and some of the bands
Yeah.
being on MTV, you know. So
Well, I mean, that was, like my town and stuff. That's where a lot of people found it was through MTV. Like you had the video for it. And like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that was like one of the first places I even saw it because I
Yeah.
loved MTV then.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being on tour, I think in a hotel the first time I saw the Boston's video, you
Hmm.
know, the for you know, Knock on Wood off their
Yeah.
album. And I was
Oh,
like, oh wow,
impression that I get. Yeah.
impression I get, yeah. And I was like, okay, you know, here we go. Basically,
Yeah.
these
Oh
guys
yeah.
are you know,
It's just that and that video ex blew the hell up.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was
it's yeah.
that
I
was
mean,
huge.
yeah, and I felt they thoroughly deserved that because that's a great album.
Hmm.
Um, it was one of my favorites by them.
Oh yeah. I do like their older like ska core albums as well. Like those are
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
and aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, with the Devil's Night Out and Energy by Operation Ivy, that's what when I heard those two records, I that's when I knew, okay, this is the shape of ska to come, so to speak.
Hmm.
This is the direction it needs to go in,
Hmm.
um, or it's going to go in,
Yeah, I agree, and then you had like some Less Than Jake, and there's so much some slapstick. Oh man,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I I love I love that era of ska. That's one of my favorites. I think ska is literally the happiest music on the planet. Even can have some of the saddest lyrics even at times, but like
Mhm.
it's just if you need to be put in a good mood, you just put ska on.
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah, definitely. And that I remember, it's funny because I remember I was thinking about this the other day. Um, because someone was asking about how it was communicating with the fans in the old days before social media, and I remember
Mhm.
we used to make these newsletters, and I remember, I think I have one somewhere, we were saying, are you tired of this, the same old doom and gloom of grunge and this and that? Well, check this out. And
Yeah.
we were trying to like present it as the opposite or the antithesis of like all that stuff, which
Yeah.
before ska, pop punk kind of did that too. So we've always, yeah, felt that we've always tried to, like with us, keep it positive for the most part, positive messages
Hmm.
and as well as, fun. I mean, we are not maybe as silly as we were in the old days, but yeah, that's one of the things about ska and reggae, that even though the subject matter can be pretty heavy,
Hmm.
the music around it is like makes you feel good. Yeah.
Makes you feel good, makes you feel alive. It's, there's
Yeah.
like there is something special about, ska and reggae music. I mean, it's something special about all music, but I mean,
Mhm.
that's one of the lights that music brings.
Yeah.
It has that ability to brighten your day when you
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that comes from where it started from in the Caribbean, Jamaica. I mean, coming out of, people out of extreme poverty, yet they created this wonderful music that
Hmm.
uplifts, is so uplifting, it's really incredible,
Yeah, it it's awesome. But
Yeah.
going back, uh, speaking of uplifting and awesome, your album 28 Teeth turned 25 years old a couple of years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
what's your relationship with that record now? Do like any of the songs hit differently when you perform them today?
Um, I don't, that's a good question. I don't really think about it that much because I'm so focused on just playing the music. Like I musically, they feel like we play quite a lot of stuff off that in our set.
Hmm.
Our average set, of course we're gonna play My Town, but we'll play Round Kid, Record Store, 19, Jennifer's Cold, um, and maybe a couple other that squeak in there. Um, and I think we were revisiting Tear Jerky the other day, or a few weeks ago. We were talking about maybe playing that one, so I started listening to that and playing along to it. And yeah, it's still, I think it's still kind of this, it has an evergreen quality to me, as far as the content and the style, I think,
That's
um,
fair. I know that like because every once in a while I listen to like songs that I have written over the years and I'm just like as 20 years later just like holy shit. Like this hits a little different now like as an
yeah.
adult and as a big person. I thought I was just like a little lonely here, but like I had some
Uh-huh.
deep-seated issues.
I mean, there are songs off the first two albums that I would listen to now and go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe we came up with that." Like this, some of the content is so juvenile and silly, and with a lack of like any kind of I don't know, empathy for what we were talking about, But
That was also like a product of that time though. Like it was like a lot of pop punk and ska stuff was so fun. Like it was like just more about being fun than it was always about being serious. So like you got some really just funky stuff out there sometimes. And it's like,
Yeah.
does it hit the same in 2025? Not especially, but
No.
it's
Yeah.
but it's still like special to that time and place that like you I love going back to that for nostalgic reasons, you know.
Right.
Um
Yeah.
like listening to I brought up slapstick, you know.
Yeah.
I like the and I used to like be obsessed with their song with their cover of Earth Angel. I just thought it was so great. I loved it.
Uh-huh.
But listening to it now I'm like it's hard because I'm like boy that recording is just almost unlistenable. But God, I
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah. I know they're such a, I mean, almost underappreciated band in some areas. I mean, they spawned so many other great bands, but
hmm
I remember our first tour we ever did. We did a, I don't know, 5 or 6 week tour with Gangster Fun and MU330.
hmm
And on one of the stops, it was Beloit, Wisconsin, and this little like VA hall or something like that. And it was all muddy outside. We were rolling all our gear in over plywood.
Yeah.
Um, and they played, and that was our first exposure to them. And we were like, oh wow, someone else is doing like this kind of stuff, but even
Yeah.
better, and that was before we had met the Suicide Machines or Less Than Jake.
Mm,
Gangster Fun's a great band, but they were more from the 2.5 wave era, the late
sure.
80s. And MU330 was, well, they were new too.
Yeah.
They were just starting out and they were great. So seeing them and MU330 and then bands like Slapstick's like, oh, okay. And we already knew Voodoo Glow Skulls, and of course the Bosstones, everyone knew who they were. So
hmm
it's cool to see, oh, this is the Midwest and someone's, other people are doing what we want to do too. So it was
Yeah.
really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. There were so
I know
many
they influenced us.
there's so many great bands from that time that got overlooked, you know, and
Yeah.
were doing really cool like even, you know, Suicide Machines as you brought up, like they were so good.
Yeah. And I was in Vegas few weeks ago for Punk Rock Bowling. And I was talking to his name escapes me right now, but it's a guy from Detroit, and he was in like the Eclectics and some other bands, and he's like, yeah, I remember he started rattling off all these bands that I'd forgotten
Yeah.
about, and I can't remember the names now, but I was like, oh yeah, I remember those guys, and I was like, oh wow, like Johnny Sacco and The Urge and all these bands that I was like, oh yeah, yeah, we played with them here and played with them there.
Oh yeah. Like there's so many bands that like have like on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite get there that I remember. You know,
Yeah,
it's just like because there was so much cool stuff, especially like, you know, for more of the underground like
yeah.
bands and stuff.
There were a lot of regional acts, that
hmm
if you went to Salt Lake City, it was Stretch Armstrong,
Oh
or
yeah.
and they were just super strong there. But some of them maybe they didn't tour that much, or they didn't branch out as much as other bands. But that was another cool thing is you go to certain areas, like, oh yeah, we get to play with these guys. Cool, this is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. Stretch Armstrong, that's another one. Good.
Yeah.
I like that. That was my
They've recently surfaced. They're on Instagram. They've
yeah.
kind of been posting some nostalgic stuff, and I think they might have just done a reunion or
Okay.
have one in the works. Yeah, they seem to resurface every 10 to 15 years, I guess.
They come out from their hole.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, one of my best friends, Sam, he introduced Stretch Armstrong to me. I'm like, because they were like kind of one of the almost like uh one of the first starting to do like hardcore and stuff, and
yeah,
they
yeah,
were they were cool, cool
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Um, Back to Buck '09. Okay,
Sure.
so you know, there's a you know, we talked about this just a little bit ago as well. Like there's a, you know, real tension in ska between, you know, fun and being, you know, seriousness, horns and heartbreak. How
Mhm.
do you balance like the upbeat musical vibe with like the social and personal themes in the lyrics?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, it all just kind of comes out, it's all done by feeling, really. I mean, um, a lot of times the bed of the music, I mean, almost always, I should say, the bed of the music, the chord progression and the riffs, the general basic, here's a verse and a chorus comes from Jonas on guitar, and then he feeds it our way, and then me and the other horn players are starting to brainstorm horn ideas, and then our singer John is, he's cranking away at some lyrics. So it all it's almost it's not something I really think about consciously. It's just kind of like a feeling and
Yeah,
kind of like looking for what's going to fit the music. And sometimes we come up with something and we'll be told, hey, that's too major. Add and make it a little more minor key, and then
sure.
it's not fitting the vibe of the song. And I'll go, oh, okay, well, sure. And then we'll adjust it, but um yeah, it's not something. I think it's we've been doing this for so long together that it's more of just intuition, I guess, or instinct at this point. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I don't know. I just always trying to look for something musical, to put in there and then see what kind of it's like, when you hear it.
yeah. So like the in the writing process, do lyrics typically come last then?
Um,
Or like kind of just in the middle of the process.
it depends on the song. It's kind of like
Sure.
who gets inspired first, I suppose.
Right.
Like with this album, we wrote almost all of it during 2020 when we were all, lockdown kind of thing. Everyone was
Sure.
in their own place. So a file would get sent to everyone, an MP3 of here's the basic idea. Here's some like basic drum tracks from, like from a drum machine just to keep a beat,
Right.
and then everyone's kind of in their own little pod, just kind of cranking away. So sometimes I would have something that day and I'd send it back, or the next day I'd sleep on it to make sure I liked it, and I'd track something and say, hey, what do you guys think of this? And that might inspire John, or vice versa. Depends
Hmm.
on. Yeah, there's no real rule or strict formula to it, so to
Sure.
speak.
Writing
We
and
had.
oh, you go. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I think it was Done With You on this album. I think that's the one. That was actually came from the drums. Like Steve just came up with this drum beat and Jonas wrote a song to it. So
Nice.
yeah,
Writing and recording and stuff was such a crazy time during COVID. Like it was it gave
yeah,
everybody like the opportunity to be almost like extra creative because it's sending stuff back and forth like okay how do we make this work and you might and like getting that feedback almost like after somebody else might have recorded something else and going oh cool hey this actually fits on top of this like really well this is cool you know
yeah,
uh because I remember trying to do stuff remotely as well and it was it it was that I think that was one of the major good things that came out of, the pandemic was we learned what we can and can't do like
yeah,
like remotely like, we can put on like what we can put on live concerts still and
yeah, yeah.
watch it
Right.
over the internet. Okay,
Yep.
cool. The like there were so many new like create like not even creations because like we had the ability to do these things before but it took us not being able to see each other to go okay now let's do these.
Right. Yeah. I like remember bands doing pandemic videos.
Hmm.
Like we did one. We just everyone filmed themselves in their own
Hmm.
room lip syncing to a song or whatever. And there was, you had Mikey and his uke. He started doing all
Oh
those
yeah,
collaborations.
those were
I think
cool.
yeah, and I think that started around that time out of
Hmm.
necessity, and yeah, people just probably going stir crazy, like creative people
Hmm.
needing an outlet. I mean, honestly, like I was lucky to be working from home because I do all my work remotely, anyways, logging into servers, but it was kind of like this. having this to work on gave you a purpose, to
Hmm.
get up the next day and, where's the new song? When's the next one coming? Let's give me
Let's
something to
keep
do.
let's
You
keep
know,
doing this. I got nothing else.
yeah.
I
I've
got
already
nothing else
made
to do.
the I've already made the Dolgogi coffee that everyone was making. I've already, all the
Yeah.
trends that came around and,
Oh yeah.
watch Tiger King and all that. So, there are
Tiger
all those.
King. Oh shit. I forgot about
Excellent.
Tiger King.
Yeah.
I I'm a bit of a a stay at home, I enjoy staying at home. So once again, that was another thing. Pandemic gave me an excuse to where I could just be home like all the time for
Yeah.
unfortunately at the time I was essential. I was an essential
Oh
worker, so
yeah.
I still had to go to work. And like I mean everybody else still, you had to work, but like I had to go in and deal with people, which I did not want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt bad for those people. Like my girlfriend at the time, she was in that boat. She had to go to the office every day,
Yeah.
because, there was no option. And
Hmm.
yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, but I remember like some of the, bands like MXPX who like performed like live in their like house studio almost every week for people.
Oh
Like
wow.
for and then there were bands that would do like you could buy tickets to watch it, which is
Yeah.
cool as well. But like I said, like MXPX was free. They did it on YouTube like every week. Like, and either Mike would play like acoustic for like 2 hours or the whole band would play for like an hour to 2 hours. It was like there was a lot of like I felt like this scene really stood for people during that time. They really did everything they could to keep people uplifted and, try and keep people happy and, you know,
Yeah.
which is what this scene is kind of known for.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's really commendable. I mean, yeah, the people were able to keep on cranking stuff out and finding new ways to do it, that had never been thought of before or
right.
considered, and now some of those things have become, pretty
Just
standard things to do,
normal place now.
yeah, it's crazy, yeah,
So this is one of the questions I was excited to bring up. So, you were featured on the like Idle Hands soundtrack as well as a personal favorite of mine, The Big Hit.
uh,
So this movie
yeah,
uh is one of me and my friend Mike Taylor's. Like we loved this movie and y'all had I'm the Man in it, and
yep.
that we became obsessed with that song. Like that was our jam.
Wow.
Uh and it's still like one of our one of my favorite like ska songs. I love that song.
Oh, cool.
And um but yeah, I remember like the same thing. I told my wife um that where I was going to be interviewing you, and she was like, "Oh, that's cool. I don't know who that is." I'm like, "You love The Big Hit, right?" Because that's also a random movie that like she had seen, and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, and she just loves that movie. Before like I never had to introduce it to her. She just already knew it.
Oh, wow,
And I was
that's
like,
interesting.
I know, because it's a super like random movie, kind of,
Yeah,
It's
it
just
wasn't like a super big hit or that I remember, I mean, I
I
think it
it's
did okay, but
it's more of an underground like hit now.
yeah, yeah.
But so she loved that movie, and I was like, oh yeah, so I'm interviewing Bucko Nine. Oh, I don't know who that is. I'm like, you remember The Big Hit? She's like, yeah. I'm like, it's I'm the Man song, and she's like, wait, what?
Oh, that's funny. That's right.
So me and my wife still regularly watch that movie, and I'm the Man. It's a great
Cool.
track.
Yeah, that's a fun one to do. That's another one we do fairly regularly in our set, Yeah.
Next time you come to Minnesota, make sure to play that song.
Yeah.
I'll
Hopefully
sing.
we can someday get
I'll
out
be
there.
I'll sing it. Do you guys got
But
any like touring plans at all?
not yet. We have a few shows coming up at the end of the month
Hmm.
regionally.
Yeah.
And then we're going to Mexico City in October, flying
Ooh.
down there for a little festival. That should be fun. We're in the early stages of talking about doing something maybe in like December, January, but that'll be more like Western states
Sure.
regionally. We've tried like we've talked about trying to get out to more places, like
Hmm.
we wanted to get out east more, maybe Midwest, Texas and whatnot, but it's just really hard to figure that stuff out
Totally.
because we it's hard for us to get away for a long period of time, more than like a couple weeks at a
Hmm.
time. So, um, and some places, since we haven't been there so long, people don't want to book us,
Mm.
because they don't want to take the risk. Because like, well, like even like say New York City, they're like, well, they haven't played here in 20 some years, 30 years, and it makes people squeamish. So it's
Sh-
kind of like a double damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
Sure.
So, but if every once in a while we get to fly somewhere. Like, we went to Philadelphia and Ben Salem for that. This is not Croydon Fest. We flew to Florida recently as well. And, back in 2019, we got to fly out to Boston and play with the Bosstones up in Rhode Island. And,
Cool.
going out to the East Coast, it's interesting too because you're realizing, oh, a lot of people never seen us, never even heard of us because we're not an East Coast band. And I just figured, oh, with the internet, everyone's heard of everyone. So, but we talked to a lot of people that are like, yeah, you guys are good. Like, never heard of you before. Didn't know anything about you. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's challenging, but I mean, it'd be nice to be able to drop everything and just do one big tour,
Yeah.
but yeah, we never say never. If the right opportunity comes up, then we're there.
Hell yeah. It's crazy to think about that we have the, as you're saying, like, well, they have the internet, everybody can know everything. But the problem is we have so much availability to knowledge. It's surprising how little people know.
Yeah, yeah. Things get lost in the shuffle, right?
Well, because there's so much now, though. Like,
Yeah,
back in the 90s, early 2000s, all you had was what CDs you had, or
right.
cassette tapes. And,
Yeah,
like that's what you had. But now you have, with Spotify and Apple Music, you have 50 new bands releasing 50 new songs every Friday. It's like,
it's nuts.
it's it's so much. And okay, do you keep up with that? Do you keep following this one artist? What do you do with all this? Do you try to listen to it all?
Yeah,
It's
you don't
it's
have
a
the time.
daunting task sometimes to think about.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't keep up with enough things, but that's another thing that's different now. The back in the 90s or whatever, before YouTube and before people could make albums on their laptops or phones,
Right.
the barrier to entry was there, right? You had to like, you either had to make a crappy 4-track recording or you
Hmm.
had to save up some money and get into a studio and put out a demo tape or a CD and, maybe a single. So there
Hmm.
was a lot to it. And,
Hmm.
maybe that prevented some people putting stuff out that shouldn't, but but
Well,
now,
right.
you can, like, my son plays music, and a few years ago, him and his friend, they recorded a song and shot a video over a weekend and put it out on YouTube
Hmm.
and put it up on, I think they were doing Bandcamp at the time,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, you can just do it like, in the blink of an eye.
Yep. You can. With it, I mean, like you even said, you could record right on your phone. That's how I record my like demos and stuff now. I just
Yeah,
record it on GarageBand on my phone.
yeah, yeah,
It's 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 insane. But yeah, in the
yeah,
night, it definitely deterred people because if you sucked, right, you didn't want to
yeah.
spend $1,000 to go into the studio to
Right.
suck.
Yeah. And that's
You
when
know?
you found out. if you sucked or not sometimes,
Hmm.
like we've had that experience where it's like, oh, like we need to stop right now and go back and get better before we waste any more money in the studio,
Right.
like in the early
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
Yeah. Or as you also brought up, like a 4-track recorder. Okay, who fucking knows how to use this? Who
Right. Yeah.
who's got microphones? Who's got
Yeah.
microphones and knows how to do this?
Exactly. Yeah. I remember messing with one, just to record my own ideas with an acoustic guitar. And,
Yeah.
it's like those were just basically to get ideas down for
Hmm.
reference for the most part, unless you really knew what you were doing, But
Yeah. So yeah, back to that. That is definitely why there are significantly less bands back then. It was a lot harder to get your music out there.
yeah.
And anyone can record music now. Anyone.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've done
Talent.
it. Yeah, I've done it myself with GarageBand. My son a few years ago, he showed me he had my sister's old cracked iPhone and he was messing with GarageBand. I'm like, what is that? He's like, oh yeah, and he's making all these beats and stuff. And I was like, oh wow. So it made me buy an iPad as
Yeah.
I was like, I want it just for that. And I was sitting there, I'm writing a bunch of dumb ideas, but one of them turned into, I think it's Urgent on this new album. One of them spawned, once Jonas got a hold of it and like developed it, it spawned a song. But
Yeah.
the seed was there, but it was because I remember flying, I was on a band trip once and I was sitting there on the my tray table in front of me just tapping out stuff and trying to make a song with some, try to figure out how to make the horns sound like horn,
Oh
with the
yeah.
cheesy samples and stuff.
Yeah. I have this little interface which is next to me that plugs into my phone.
Yeah, wow.
And so that's I can record vocals, I can record guitars. It's just a little C adapter that plugs into my phone.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
They make its technology is insane, but it's awesome.
It
But that's
really is. Yeah. And when it's in the right hands, it's yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So like you've toured like all over the world. You've played Warp Tour, you've had your music in movies and TV shows. But what are some of like your personal favorite moments from being in Bucko 9?
Let's see. I I mean, historically, I think it is the exotic travel, getting to tour places like Australia, Canada, getting to go to Japan several times,
Yeah.
such an amazing country. I think it's getting to see things that I wouldn't have seen otherwise, almost every state in the union, we've either been to or played performed at, and got to see some, New York City. I mean, some of these places I've only ever been with the band,
Hmm.
and I haven't had a chance to go back otherwise.
Hmm.
So I think it's just that broadening of horizons by seeing the world out there, in general, and then yeah, and then more recently, it's just the camaraderie we have with the guys. When we get together, it's like instead of going away for a weekend of golfing or surfing or something, we're going away to play music for a weekend and have a few beers and laugh. But yeah, I think those types of things. I mean, when we had My Town on the radio, we were that was pretty exciting too for a period there because we were getting asked to play all these radio shows.
Hmm.
So we were flying around to places like the Bay Area or Seattle or Buffalo and Kansas City and Houston and
Yeah.
playing these like big concerts with like 10,000 people and the headliner is like Weezer or Silverchair, or the
Oh,
Foo Fighters,
yeah.
and we're playing early in the day. But so that was pretty exciting. The Warp Tour as well, getting to see, some of the bands that came, like when the Descendants came back to do that, and just getting to see that level of wow, this is what it can be like,
Hmm.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Uh, Speaking of the Descendants, that was I got to see them once when they started coming back again, a few years back, and that was a bucket list right there. That was
Yeah.
awesome. That was so cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen them since that era. I just missed them for whatever reason because of work scheduling or whatever it was, you know. I used to be on call a lot, so it seemed like
Sure.
anytime something came to town that I wanted to go do, I was on call that
Mm.
weekend. So
I got I got it was at a festival over in Pennsylvania, and it's four chord festival. Um and I got my Milo tattoo the same day I saw the Descendants.
oh,
So
nice.
they had like there was a little tent that was like doing like small tattoos, for like cheap. And
Yeah, yeah.
so before the doors open, because we were there, we had our own like tent and stuff. And so
Mhm.
before doors open, like we ran over there. We're like, "Yo, dude, you want to hook us up with a Milo tattoo?" And he was like, "Yeah, come on, you'll be first." I'm like, "Yes."
Oh, cool.
So it was cool.
That seems to be a thing now too in a lot of places. Like when we played This Is Not Croydon Fest, I mean, they had a tattoo
Yeah.
booths or table set up in the other room, and it's crazy. Like it's interesting to see like these events have become like little cons, like
Hmm.
Comic-Con style as the example
Yeah.
events, which is really like Supernova. It's really neat to see how things have developed, with the community, and the
Yeah.
culture,
Well, and having tattoos is like it's scary and it's safe if you know that like the people you can trust them, because a lot of
Yeah,
these are outdoors, you're sweaty, it's gross. But typically, like
yeah,
the tattoo artists do it early, like you have to,
yeah.
for anyone that I've ever been to, like you basically go there, like, and you get put on a list, like, and they'll
Uh-huh.
only do until they're out of stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes quick,
Oh
pretty
yeah.
much the
Yeah.
first like hour or two and they're done. And they've
Oh,
made a
okay.
whole bankroll, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So they
Oh,
came there. Hmm?
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say because they only come with a few different colors and just you can get flash, and it's typically like my Milo tattoo took 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It's just an outline of Milo,
Right. Yeah, just one color, just
you
black.
know.
Yeah.
And so I think he was charging like $60, which is dirt cheap for
Yeah,
any kind of
yeah.
tattoo.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
but
Because they got to
six,
pay for the equipment, they
yeah,
got to swap the needles out and all.
but he made $60 in 5 minutes.
That's not a bad hourly rate.
Right. He did okay.
Yeah. Well, I was just on the Salty Dog cruise in February, and they have a setup there
Yeah.
of some guys from San Diego that I know that do it, and they're the whole cruise. They're just working like 8, 10 hours, probably more a day, just
Hmm.
tattooing people. It's just everyone wants to get tattooed on the ship at the event. It's
Totally.
crazy. Yeah.
And I would be one of them. I'd be like, "Yo, let's get in there. Let's go."
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully the boat isn't rocking too much.
And if it is, and if there's a little fuck up, dude, that's part of the experience.
Yeah, true.
If you're like getting tattooed on a boat.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a big boat too. So.
Yeah. Uh, so you talked about radio shows just a bit ago. So like, but you know, a lot of your like local radio shows and like ska circles spotlight your birthday with birthday tributes. Does it ever
Yeah.
feel weird to be like that underground ska icon, or what's the most touching fan interaction tied to like being in the band?
Oh, wow. There are some good ones out there, and I'm trying to think of them right now. We've had some, oh man. I wish I had one on the tip of my tongue right now because there are a few good ones
Yeah.
that probably the other guys could think of right now. Um, I mean, in general, it's it's nowadays if we go somewhere and we meet someone who, has they're bringing their kids to see
Yeah.
us, that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, or someone, we've had a few messages, throughout the more recent years that where people have said, your band got me through a tough time in my life, that kind of thing. That's really probably, what stands out in general, because it's happened a few times, and either through someone coming up to us at a show or someone messaging us through social media. And so then, okay, our music meant something to someone. So there we go, mission accomplished. Who cares about being on MTV or the radio when, you know, uh, when it's more personal, like even though that time was exciting,
Yeah.
and those things stand out versus you know, the the numerous shows that you don't remember because no one was there, or it was some crappy little place and somewhere you never wanted to go back to, uh, you know, just paying your dues. But
Yeah.
I think the aftermath of that, in the last, well, what's it been like? I mean, ska kind of died out in '99, right? Like that big wave, the commercial wave, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but
A little,
but by
roughly. Yeah.
yeah, but by the mid 2000 zeros, it was evident that it wasn't dead. It was there. It was on the map, and it wasn't going to completely disappear. And I think since then, since 2003, 2004, maybe a little later, there's been a real like groundswell organically, and that's been really neat to see,
Hmm.
because it's not just the people that you're like, oh yeah, I was into that for a minute in high school or junior high, kind of thing. So that kind of staying power, and the ability to, if we're at a show, we're at the bar having a drink before and after, or we're at, cruising by the merch table, or we're out, we're not just hiding,
Hmm.
backstage. So you get to interact with people. Um, it's nice having that level where you're not like afraid to be seen in public because you're a huge rock star.
Right.
I can only imagine, that must be a horrible thing to have to deal with.
Yeah. It
But,
seems like it'd be a lot.
but yeah, no, I think that there's been a lot of, the personal interactions. Like when we were in Pennsylvania, this guy came over from Japan,
Mm,
and he's seen us in Japan, and I was talking to him for a while, and he was so stoked. He was stoked on all the bands, but I mean, he made a trip from Japan to see this festival because he loves the music so much, and
that's awesome.
that kind of stuff you see a lot of. So it's really,
That's fucking cool.
yeah. Yeah, to know that the music beyond its, the silliness and the mozzarella sticks jokes and that kind of stuff, that it does mean something more, more profound to people, just like
Yeah.
other forms of music do to other people, like whatever, rock and roll, metal, punk, it's
Well,
good, it's a good thing.
it's Scott means a lot to a lot of people. Like I've been loving watching like I don't know if you've seen a lot of like the newer bands and stuff, but there's a big like ska resurgence. Like
Yeah.
it's growing and it continues to grow. Like especially with like bands, um like Ska Tune Network. Literally, like he started like he was one of the first people I was introduced like that introduced me to like this new wave of, and they're just so
Yeah.
cool. And We Are the Union. Um,
Yeah. And I remember We Are the Union when that website I was trying to start back
yeah.
in 2007 or 8. I remember like that was one of the bands that I first heard about them back then.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah, like there's a lot of really awesome bands doing ska today, and
yeah.
every time I find a new one, I'm always really stoked to like push them out there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot with bands like Catbite, Bite Me Bambi,
Oh, Bite Me
Half Past
Bambi,
Two,
cat,
you
yeah,
know,
all three of them, so great.
yeah, they're really working hard,
Hmm.
and it seems like they're growing and growing and building, which is great because it seems, that's what gives you staying power. That's what we wanted to do back in the day. When we first started getting serious, we were like, we just want to be like Fugazi or NoFX. We just want to build a following, be able to sell enough records and go out and play shows and
Hmm.
and sustain ourselves. We
Hmm.
didn't, no one had any ideas that it would become a commercial thing,
Hmm.
to, to the extent that it did.
Yeah.
To see that I mean, when we were recording 28 Teeth, I remember we were in the studio up in Berkeley and someone was thumbing through Rolling Stone and they were talking about Rancid. And this was like 1996, probably.
Yeah.
And there was some mention of ska. And you could see what was happening if you were kind of on the inside, every label was looking for a ska band.
Hmm.
That's probably why we got signed, because everyone wanted a ska band, just like they wanted a grunge band before that or a punk band
Yep.
before that. It really was an industry kind of thing that
Hmm.
you could kind of see it. So it even though it had grown organically, all of a sudden, there was some fire under it. So to see it growing organically again, without, I mean, I almost hope it isn't like a big, huge movement, that the bands just have success because they're good bands,
Right.
that like when the Interrupters charted, a
Hmm.
few years ago, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, there isn't a whole bunch of ska bands, it's not like the fourth wave is here, but
Yeah.
if more bands can just achieve that level of success on their own merits and not because they're part of another fad, that's what I hope to see.
Well, and it's like nowadays it feels like that is more of a possibility, I guess, than ever before because I now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying record labels are obsolete, but the future is more independent than
Yeah,
ever.
yeah,
Because everybody can kind of do it themselves. Yes, you need to get to it. Like, if you're looking to make like massive, massive commercial success, yeah, you got to get up there, and you
yeah,
need that record label backing. But there are
right.
bands like, once again, like Keep Flying, one of my favorite like up and coming like punk ska bands. Like they're out there hustling, touring nonstop.
Keep Flying.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them. I'll have to look into them.
you will love them. They are so good.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I mean they're hustling, they're working nonstop, and that's what it like. But they're still taking like that old school route of touring, and doing that
Yeah,
sort of stuff. So there's many paths you can take now, but there's a lot of paths to do it organically and independently
yeah,
to a point.
right. Yeah. I mean, at some point, yeah, you're right. Having some backing can tip the scales a little bit, but I
Right.
I don't know how it all works. I know, yeah, like you said, there's still labels out there. We're on a label, fortunately. We're not having to self-release these
Hmm.
last couple of records, but or the last few of them. But yeah, it's the landscape's so different now. With
Hmm.
like, is radio airplay even a thing? Is that it? Versus
It's
streams.
it's yeah, well, I mean, being played on the radio, once again, unless you're like a bigger band, because you have to, I believe from what I remember is like that you have to be a bigger band to really get paid for it. You have to, so streams
Yeah.
and touring's where you're gonna make your music, but being played on the radio regardless, I mean, it's still a milestone, man. That's still cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. We've been fortunate. The local station 91X here that, was like the first station to ever play us first, like commercial, well, they're alternative
Yeah,
since they started in 83, but they were the first, besides college radio to play us. And they've still, we're not like in regular rotation with our new stuff, but they've played a couple songs, and kind of,
that's still
that,
cool.
which is, it's still good. It's still nice that they'll remember us, so to speak. And I think
Yeah,
they still play My Town somewhat regularly too. So
that's cool.
yeah,
That's
which is nice.
that stuff's exciting. Like it doesn't matter, and I don't think like it ever gets old. It's still cool. It's still a
Yeah,
milestone.
yeah.
All right, so we got one more question before we go to a quick break.
Okay.
If you could give our listeners a piece of advice that you know now that you wish you knew when you were first starting your musical journey, what would that be?
I would say For me, I think it's try to take it all in. Try to slow the not slow things down, but slow. Try to put everything in slow motion as far as experiences,
Savor
and
it.
savor it. Yeah, and pay attention because there's stuff that I know I missed because I was either I was just not in the right place, or or at the right time, or I chose not to go to, like, I don't know. I just know there's stuff I missed out on because, or I don't remember because it was such a whirlwind. So if there's a way to just kind of take it back, maybe now with cameras and phones, you can snap those pictures more. But yeah, I think it's just take it all in, and appreciate. I mean, it sounds cheesy to say, but you got to appreciate the bad with the good, and this, like, no one likes playing on a Tuesday night in some shithole to 10 people who don't even care who you are, when
Hmm.
you're opening up for a classic rock cover band or whatever, and you're getting paid nothing, and maybe you got a pizza to eat between seven guys. But that's part of the journey, and you do learn from it. That's, it's the getting to that 10,000 times
Hmm.
mark, right?
Right.
That old adage that, you do something, you play enough gigs. If you can play that, then you can play in front of, 1,000 people or more. And yeah, yeah, just learn from the failures, or
Hmm.
the perceived failures, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Well, it's also like on that point, you know, trying to remember, even though it's like, yeah, if there's only 10 people there, and that sucks, I get it. It can suck, but like remember, like if you're on tour and you're from, you know, Nebraska and you're playing to 10 people in Detroit, Michigan, dude, you're in fucking Detroit, Michigan right now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Like you're there.
yeah,
Like Todd back in Omaha, who's like just sitting with it on his ass watching TV, telling you,
yeah,
you've only playing to 10 people. You suck. Yeah, I'm in fucking Detroit right now.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. And we learned that very early on the very first show of our tour, that tour with Gangster Fun and MU. We played a Sunday night up in Corona, California, an hour and a half north of here. Club
Hmm.
we'd played many times on a weekend night, packed with people, fun bands. And this was a Sunday night with Let's Go Bowling playing up the street at the university. There was no one there basically. And we're sitting there watching these bands get up and play and act like they were playing in front of a full house.
Hmm.
And we're like, what's wrong with these guys? This is lame.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't. They were being professional
Hmm.
and putting on the show. And we learned, like, that night, okay, you got to get up there and deliver, because those 10 people, you
Hmm.
know, they might not come back the next time, or they might come back and bring 10 friends next time,
Hmm.
etc. Or they're going to remember you if you keep going. They're going to
Right.
remember that night. And I remember seeing Green Day in with 50 people in a at the UCSD here, and it wasn't like a bad show, but it was like a
Yeah.
underground, no one knew they were coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll always remember that. And they kicked ass, and their drummer had a cast on his foot, so but they still played.
Yeah. Well, and that's also just because there's 10 people there doesn't mean that they don't care. Like they came to your damn show. They
Yeah,
paid to get into your show,
yeah,
and those 10 people, if you suck, you're not going to sell any merch. But
right.
if you play your heart out for those 10 people that came to see you, you might sell $100 worth of merch. Each
Yeah,
one
there's
of
your
them might buy a shirt or a CD or a tape and bring it back and show all of their friends.
Yep. And there's your gas tank filled, or
Hmm.
your mouth's filled for the night.
Yeah. And
And even if they're not there to see you, it's your job to make them remember you,
yeah,
like,
win them over.
we've played some really weird lineups over the years where we're like, what's this? And it's like, you learn sometimes. It's like, well, hey, you needed a Monday night. When you have a night off, you don't make money. So you play Monday, you play Tuesday, you play Wednesday, as well as Friday and Saturday,
Hmm.
and you hope for the best, because the alternative is sitting around in a motel room somewhere losing money.
Yep. And just because you might be playing with like a Poison cover band doesn't mean the people that came to see that Poison cover band don't also like ska music.
Right. Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Yeah. Well, nowadays you're probably
Yeah.
good for that.
Oh, it's funny how many people will be like, "Oh yeah, Poison's rad." You're like, "Really? Like, did you like them back in the day?" Because okay, no, but now with the nostalgic
Yeah.
perspective, it's like, "Oh yeah, they're rad."
But and you know what though? Like that's so true because I like growing up, like I was always like Stained, Nickelback. Oh God, that crap's gross. But if like Creed comes on nowadays, I'm like, will you take me high?
Yeah.
Like it's like the cringe factor is almost fun now because I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
old and who gives a shit?
Right. Yep.
I don't have to impress anybody anymore.
Yeah, you can just like it and not worry about,
Yeah, just do you.
keeping up
And
appearances.
yeah. All right.
That's true.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our next segment. Thank you so much again to Open Your Ears Records for partnering with us to help bring even more new artists to your attention. Now, again, Open Your Ears Records is an amazing independent record label out of Richmond, Virginia, with a killer lineup of up and coming bands and artists. We talk about this every week now. This week is a big one, though. Another One Down just released their highly anticipated EP, Face Reality, on Friday, May 2nd, featuring the singles Pressure and Sinners and Saints. Off of Open Your Ears Records, Face Reality brings you high emotion and fast paced intensity from start to finish, so make sure to stream the hell out of it and get out to a show if you're in the area. Make sure to also follow them and Open Your Ears Records on their socials at Another One Down RI and OYE Rex. You're going to want to follow them so you can keep up with them and everything that they've got going on. You can also once again check out our interview with Another One Down back on episode 104 or season 3, episode 35. Thank you so much again to Open Your Ears Records for partnering with us and for sponsoring this episode. And we're back. Thanks so much for sticking around. It's time for everybody's favorite segment, the Food for Thought segment. If you weren't hungry before, get ready. We're gonna get a little hungry here. It's that time. All
Yes.
right. All right. So my first question for you, which fast food chain do you have the strongest love-hate relationship from touring? And do you have any kind of war story from one?
Yeah, I mean that's an easy one. It's Taco Bell. Um, it's we ate so much Taco Bell on tour, especially in the early days because it was so cheap and we were on
Yeah,
such a tight budget.
yeah.
When we used to go into Taco Bell and we didn't even have per diems or anything. It was just like, okay, everyone can spend $3. And one guy paid for it all, and
Dude,
we
but
had to
back
keep him.
then, $3 could get you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
People
Oh
don't
yeah.
realize that because I remember, back even what like touring days for me, we got a $5 a day per diem, and that could last you a day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean after those days it was years before I'd eat Taco Bell again. I mean, probably shouldn't eat it anymore anyways, but
We still do because it's Taco Bell.
well yeah, then when my kids came around they loved Taco Bell, and
Yes, I
then
do.
by us there was a Taco Bell KFC combo. So, you could get some coleslaw to go with your bean burrito.
And you got to get that Baja Blast and
Oh yeah. My
gotta
daughter
get that
loves that stuff.
gotta get Baja Blasted.
Yeah.
I have to go Baja Blast Zero now because I'm a
Uh,
sophisticated adult.
yeah.
And I always like to say I like to eat my calories, not drink them.
Hmm.
Once you get to a certain age, All of your calories count.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's like Diet Coke or Coke Zero, maybe a splash of regular Coke on top. But
Right,
the
right.
one by my house for a while had apple soda too.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
kind of like Martinelli's sparkling cider, but
Mm.
like just apple flavored. It was really good.
Okay. So since you brought this up, I wasn't gonna I do like to ask this question. This is a Taco Bell is like a top topic for this channel. Um,
Okay.
what is your Taco Bell order today, and what was it then?
Then it was probably bean and cheese burritos, maybe Mexican pizza.
Mm,
Um, but I mean, in those touring days, it was bean and cheese burritos because they were, get two or three of them and fill yourself up,
yeah,
you know. Um, but yeah, then I used to really like the Mexican pizza. Now it's like the chicken soft taco, or they have those like new ones with they come with a little sauce. The what do they call like
the
uh,
cantina.
cantina
Yeah,
ones? Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I don't have to go there very much anymore.
dude, I don't have Taco Bell as much as I'd like, honestly. Taco Bell is my favorite fast food place though.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, we have like some really good like we have a couple real okay, I'm wrong. We have one really good Mexican restaurant here. Oasis del Norte. No, I guess we have a couple more that have sprouted up, but I haven't been to anything other than Oasis. I am a dedicated Oasis head.
Hmm.
They got a birria taco that
Oh yeah,
so good. But I mean, you're in California, so you know way better than I do. I'm in Minnesota, but
right.
Oasis, they know what they're doing.
It probably really is an oasis then up there,
It
huh?
is. It it is
Yeah,
our
I mean we've got all the taco shops and then
mhm,
we got the Mex chips and salsa type of Mexican restaurants but as well. But I mean and taco trucks, the food trucks
mhm,
scene. So but yeah, we have all the slash Birdos, like Roberto's, Alberto's, Philly Birdos ones where you go to get the good carne asada
mhm.
burritos and that kind of stuff. And that's really popular here.
Yeah, I mean that's few and far between up north here, you know,
Yeah.
with us Norwegians and Swedes. But we do the like I said, Oasis. Shout out to Eduardo. Man, they make a mean food over there.
Nice.
It's good. They're
That's good.
great.
I've heard that Mexican food is getting better around the country because we used to stay away from it anywhere outside of like California and Arizona because it was just bad. Like we tried some in the Midwest and we got sick off of it, or you just we're like, nope.
You, you gotta go to anywhere that you can hear some like if you're getting some mariachi music going through the speakers, you're gonna be a little safer. I feel like it's gonna be.
Yeah,
I feel it's much more trustworthy.
yeah. Hey, I know this is off the topic, but do they still have that Jolly Green Giant statue in Minnesota somewhere, like
Yeah,
in the middle? Okay, because
yeah. I think
we stopped at that once and we took pictures. I have a picture of me like standing underneath it. Like I just was remembering that.
nice. If you went up a lot further north, there's like a giant like Babe the Blue Ox and Paul Bunyan.
Oh wow.
That's over in like Brainerd, Bemidji area.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a picture of me and our trumpet player like grabbing onto the legs and like holding on his legs and then standing under it in the pose.
Next time you come through, you should take yourself to the Spam Museum.
Oh, nice.
Spam is from Minnesota, so
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
I've never been there myself, but and I've never eaten Spam either,
Oh,
but
it's
I
popular. It's popular with Hawaiians.
hmm,
And we have a few Hawaiian restaurants down here, and Spam's all over the menu. Like,
I'm
yeah,
not opposed to trying it. I just never have. I've never had a reason to, and I don't know how to, like I know it's just, you know, meat in a can, but I don't know
yeah,
how to like
yeah,
prepare it. I'm not some sort of like chef.
yeah. I think you could just slice it up and fry it or something.
Probably, but like I
Get your
would
week's sodium intake in one sitting.
you could do that like spam and ramen or something and just really
Yeah,
sodiumize yourself.
yeah,
Just you know, shrivel up.
yep.
All right, speaking of, we talked about then versus now, but like let's really like look at it a little harder other than just Taco Bell. So, since being in the touring game for a long time. So what does food like what does getting food on the road as a band look like today compared to 20 years ago?
Um, I mean, it all depends. Sometimes it's the exact same. Sometimes we'll just roll up on a Denny's, and it just hits
Yes.
the spot, or I mean, people just kind of go off and get their own thing. Like actually, when we were in Florida, there was a Texas Roadhouse. Do you guys have those up there?
Yeah, we do.
Texas,
We have one
yeah.
actually very close to my house.
Oh, okay. There was one near the hotel, and we ate there twice. So um, they have it's pretty good, fun place. They have the giant Shiner Bock beers and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I mean it I think I would like to say it's a little better, like maybe some better choices are
Yeah,
made,
a
or at
little
least
healthier.
yeah, or at least the quality, maybe it's fast casual or a
Mhm.
restaurant versus, just Subway, or we used to eat Subway a lot too on the road, a lot of whatever you could find at
Gas
like a
station.
travel, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
or travel stuff, on the turnpikes, the toll
Hmm.
roads where you got those, yeah,
Those are the
whatever was
best.
there.
The
Yeah.
truck stops. Oh
Yeah.
man.
All that fried food up on the counter
But
under the heat lamps.
they were so big and clean. A good old
Yeah.
Pilot or a
Yeah.
Love's.
TNA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We used to collect the TNA ones.
Yeah. TNAs are good.
That's what we call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could usually find a clean bathroom there, and there's stuff to look at. Like being on the road, you're like, oh, we're stopping at a truck stop. Like, I'm gonna get out and look at some,
Yeah.
some stuff, something to
Get
do.
some
Maybe I'll,
get some
get one of those.
truckers love it, like
Yeah.
the before energy drinks, you get the good old
Oh,
truckers love it, like the caffeine pills that
oh, I never saw those. Could
oh
have
my
used
God.
those for driving.
Those
Like, yeah.
those were dangerous.
Yeah, I always wanted to get one of those little clubs they use to hit the tires with. I was like, oh, this looks cool.
You had to get out though, man. That was those like we talk about this a lot, but like, tour is awesome. It's glamorous in its own way and it's so fun. But 90% of touring is driving, sleeping somewhere, and playing a show. Like there's
Yeah,
not like a ton of in between. It's like you're eating
right.
in the van while you're driving to the next place.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because you don't have time,
Hmm.
especially out west in the Midwest, everything's so spread out,
Yeah. It's
It's like,
just to get to
yeah,
the next city, it's 8 hours.
yeah, yep. So you're always under the gun, like time wise, and it's very boring at times.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and
so
you don't
stopping for food is like a highlight of the day. It's like, oh
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, dude, yeah, Love's has like some great chicken wings. Let's go to a Love's because
yeah,
it's 2 in the morning and they're open.
right, yeah, yeah.
Um, gosh, you had said something that like I can't remember what I'll have to come back to it if I remember, but it just popped some sort of memory up and I was like, yes, but Ned's gone because we kept going and it was so funny. Okay. Uh, this is the last food for thought question. This is a deep thinker here. All right.
Okay, all right. I'll try.
You got this. If Buck 09 was a potato, what kind of a potato would you be? And you take this however your heart tells you to take it, which and wherever it tells you to take it.
Hmm. Potato.
Yeah, some sort of tater.
I Gosh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many silly answers to that.
Yeah, go silly.
Say a sweet potato, a baked potato,
Uh-huh.
French fried potato.
Yeah,
I'd say probably like some kind of fries, like curly fries.
there you go.
Something, something a little weird and like just hits the spot. You don't see it everywhere,
Oh,
with some
curly
seasoning
fries.
on it. Yeah. Or those waffle fries.
We just had waffle fries at my house because somebody answered with waffle fries,
Oh.
and I was like, "Holy shit, I haven't had those in forever." And I went up and told my wife, "Babe, can we get some waffle fries?"
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say fries because I mean everyone likes fries, and
hmm
if there's fries on the table, someone's gonna polish them up,
Oh yeah.
polish them off.
What is your favorite kind of fry? Just your personal.
Um, you know, I I don't know. I mean, oddly enough, I think McDonald's fries are really good for your
Mm,
regular fries, but I like
they're
the kind of
delicious.
the steak fries, the thick
Okay.
ones you get at restaurants, and
Yeah.
um I like actually the French, not exactly fries, but you guys probably have the Habit Burger Grill out there. They have these French fried green beans, like
Mm,
they call them tempura green beans. So like
okay.
fries, but they got a green bean inside. So you're like, oh, this is
Dang.
healthy.
Yeah. This is healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's probably my favorite because I feel like I'm getting vegetables but I can still dip them in some ranch.
there you go. I love curly fries, man. Those are,
Yeah.
oh gosh. There's
I
like,
was working at Jack in the Box when they came out with the curly fries.
oh man.
And yeah, I was like, oh, these are the shit.
Now, this is not I don't know if this is a popular opinion, so you could probably tell me, but I don't think there is anything better from Jack in the Box than their 50-cent tacos. I love them so much. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
Uh, because they are just full-sized mini tacos,
yeah, yeah. With
Like they're
some
just big
soy
mini.
filling in them that's not
Oh,
even really meat.
but I love them so much.
When I used to work at Jack in the Box in high school, they'd always be on sale, right? Two for
Yeah.
99 cents, whatever.
Yeah.
So we'd just be making them and making them. And sometimes you'd leave them in too long and we'd be so slammed. We'd just take them out and you'd open it up and there was barely any filling left because it had all fried away. And we are
Yeah.
like, fuck it, shove the lettuce, cheese, just bag them up. Hopefully no one will notice. And some people got some pretty sketchy tacos back in those days.
I because of that, I remember probably in the 2000s sometime that Burger King came out with tacos, like 50-cent tacos, and they were literally just like the Jack in the Box tacos.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
oh my, and we don't have a Jack in the Box up here, not even
Oh,
close.
okay.
So Burger King, I was like, "Oh my God, thank you, Lord." And I would get those all the time. Like they were so
Yeah.
good.
They are.
But
They're
they're
also.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
But that's like if you show up, especially late night, or if people have been having a few beers, and if you just show up with a bag of those tacos and dump them on the
oh,
table, you know, everyone's gonna grab one.
yeah. Like, I mean, like I said, they're bad, but if you go to like one of those just to have a mini taco,
Yeah.
you're not eating them because they're fucking gourmet. Like there's something
No.
gross and special about them. And so, the Jack in the Box ones are just bigger versions of
Yeah.
it.
And then they used to have the super tacos, which are even bigger
Oh
versions
my
of those.
gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if
Holy.
they still do, but the super tacos, now you're talking.
Oh boy, I'll have to check that out. Oh shit. Um, okay. That's it for our food for thought segment. Now it's time for rapid fire questions.
Friendships will be tested. Rapid fire questions.
Just gonna speak from the heart. You're gonna shoot from
Okay.
the hip.
All
Whatever the
right.
whatever the first thing is
Shit.
that pops into your head, even like this can get weird, so it's okay. Even if it's
Okay.
not one of the first two, like even if it's not one of the two options that I present to you, you just speak your truth. You say
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
All right. Liquid Death or LaCroix?
LaCroix.
All right. Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify.
All right. South Park or Family Guy?
Family Guy.
Mm. We're going old school with our social media here.
Yeah.
MySpace or TikTok?
Oh, MySpace all the way.
100%. That's the correct answer.
Getting to edit the HTML on your own MySpace page.
Oh man, make your top eight. Woo-wee.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep it dive back here. Drive through records or fueled by ramen?
Oh man. I'll go Fueled by Ramen.
There's everybody like I should do my own research because every time somebody answers that, I can't remember anybody but Fall Out Boy, and I never
Yeah.
remember to go look.
I mean, I'm not good with who's on what label unless it was old school like Epitaph or
Yeah.
Fatback. So I'm kind of guessing at that one.
Okay, so Drive Through Records I remember because I was obsessed with every band. There was like Newfound Glory, The Starting Line, Finch. It was
Oh,
like a generational like record label that was like it was the same thing as like Epitaph though and Fat Records. Like you liked that label and you liked all the bands on them.
okay. See, that's a little, I guess I'm showing my age because I wasn't really following up much of that stuff. Um, so I probably should have gone for a third option there. Epitaph.
There you go. There's your answer. Epitaph. That's what I said. You pick you if you don't know, then you pick what
Yeah,
you do
okay.
know. All right. All right. Beanies or snapbacks?
Are snapbacks, you mean like the baseball hats? Like
Yeah, like
that?
what I'm wearing, yeah.
Snapbacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Darth Vader or Voldemort?
Vader.
Yeah. Damn
Yeah.
right it's Vader.
Yeah.
Um
He's got redeeming qualities.
he does, right? Because, they humanized him at the end.
Yeah.
Voldemort's just a dickhead from start to finish.
Yeah.
uh okay, I'm trying to think. Because I'm gonna switch this one up to match a little bit more. I can't ask you this question, the normal one, but I'm trying to think. Okay, because I always end with two bands pitting against each other.
Oh,
And we talked about Mighty Mighty Bosstones, so I'm gonna actually say Mighty Mighty Bosstones or Less Than Jake.
nothing against Less Than Jake, but Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
All right.
Just because of their influence on me when I first was playing music. And I'll always remember I was in Tower Records and I was reading Maximum Rock and Roll and they were interviewed the Bosstones.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Oh, you combine paraphrasing, but you combine ska and speed metal. Like, what's that all
Mm-hmm.
about?" And I was like, "What? Like, I love both those kinds of music.
Dude,
I got to
speed
check these
metal.
guys out."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a good answer. Like I said, I loved early. I still like enjoyed pretty much everything up to like the Impression I Get album. I didn't listen to him a lot after that, but everything before that, I loved like there's Ska Core, The Devil and More, and
yeah, yeah.
like so
Don't
much
know how to
stuff.
party and
Hmm.
question the answers. And
Yeah,
the Jackknife, was it Jackknife to a Swan? Was that the one that came out on in the early 2000s? Is really good too.
yeah,
That was on Side One Dummy.
yeah.
I actually have that
That's
on vinyl because our
nice.
singer used to work there when it came out.
Oh, that's cool.
We got to don't tell Joe Sib this, but we got to raid the warehouse one night. So
I because once again it's wild like because of a movie is how I initially found the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones as well. They were on the movie Clueless.
oh right, yeah.
They were the band that played the party.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? This is awesome.
I don't remember what song they were playing. Was it Rascal King or
No,
something?
it was the EP before that.
Oh,
Um and I guess I can look really quick because it's it's annoying because it's my favorite song of theirs and I can't think of the name of it.
yeah, I'm bad with song titles.
I am not the worst, but it's sometimes my brain defies me. And
Yeah,
it's so I have that
happens to me a lot.
Yeah. Mhm. And I put up like their songs and it's not going to tell me what it is,
Mm,
you know. Oh,
yeah.
someday I suppose off of Don't
Oh,
Know How to
okay.
Party. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And that's my favorite. I love that song.
Yeah, I don't even think I saw that movie until like within the last 15 years or so. Like when I think I watched it with my daughter or something.
It's it holds up. It's so fun.
Yeah,
It's a funny movie.
yeah.
I'll ask you what this last one anyways, though, just to see what your thoughts are and to see if you even listened to them. So the normal question is Good Charlotte or Simple Plan?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Alkaline Trio.
There you go. Now you got the game. And Alkaline Trio, I would say, is the right answer.
Yeah.
I love Alkaline Trio. They made
Yeah, they're
some
good.
they did good stuff. All right, well, that's it. You did it. You finished the
All right.
podcast. Now's your chance, just a little recap. Let everybody know, what you got going on, where they can find you, and what's next for Bucko 9.
Well, yeah, we've got our Facebook page, Bucko9. We've got at Bucko9 on Instagram. Those are our main social media outlets. And we talked about it. We got some shows coming up at the end of the month, and we're hoping to get something going later in the year. The new album's out on all the streaming platforms. You can order the vinyl off Cleopatra Records. It's cleorex.com if you like vinyl. I think they only printed like a few hundred of them, and I still haven't got my copy yet, but I've seen them and they're really nice. The artwork looks really cool
Hell
on
yeah.
on that format. Um, and yeah, hoping to just keep on plowing away at keep the fun going indefinitely. So
Hell yeah.
um, and hopefully it won't take as long before the next album comes out. We're determined this time to write the next record all in one room. Like do it the old way, because just doing it separately, even though it was a necessity, it's just not the same.
Yeah,
So
totally. Well, that's exciting to hear. I'm stoked to hear that you guys are gonna keep plugging away until sun goes down.
yeah, I mean, we have too much fun doing it, so
And that's what it's all about.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Craig, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. This has been awesome.
Oh yeah, it's been really fun. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everybody, make sure you're going and streaming the shit out of the new album. Stream all the albums. Just go through the whole discography. Why not? Make it out to
Yeah.
a show. And this has been another episode of the Unsigned Pop Punk Podcast, and we'll see you all on Monday. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Please hit that like, subscribe, or follow button so you never miss an episode. And thank you to those who already are. Please rate and review the show to help the show be found by new people. And if you're in the position to help us grow, head on over to our website where you can find merch, our Patreon, and other ways that you can help at www.unsignedpoppunk.com. Let us know in the comments who else you'd like to see on the show and what other content you would like to see. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.